Up today we have the Inforce weapons mounted light momentary on only version. You know, if you're going to be doing any nighttime work with your rifle, you're going to be doing any kind of house clearing, you're going to be taking low light classes, whatever nighttime stuff you're going to be doing, you're going to need a light for your rifle. I was looking around for lights and I looked at a lot of different options, different prices, different brightnesses, different mounting options. And through all that, I came up with sort of a set of criteria that I was looking for in a rifle. That criteria being small, lightweight, easy to mount, easy functioning, right brightness, and the right price. And let me talk about each of those a little bit more in-depthly. First two kind of go together, small and lightweight. So I didn't think I needed to mount a 2D cell mag light on the bottom of my rifle because, well, one, it's just not very bright, and two, it's big and it's heavy. It's overkill for that. More realistically, I didn't think I needed to mount something like this Phoenix TK15 on my rifle because it was a little bit bigger than I thought it needed to be. A little bit too much, I thought, hanging off the side of my rifle, and not as lightweight. I forget what this weighs, but it was just bigger and heavier than I thought it needed to be. On the other hand, this Inforce light is super small, 3 ounces, 4.1 inches by 1 inch. It's very small, it's very lightweight, adds almost nothing to the size and the weight of the rifle. Next is the ease of mounting. Going back to this, if you get something like this Phoenix TK15, you buy the light, and then you have to buy a mount, one of those mounts that mounts to the rail, and then clips around here, and then maybe you need a pressure switch, so you have to connect that, to mount it to somewhere. It just gets more complex than I thought I needed to get. This Inforce light, the mount is built in. I'll show you that in a little bit, but it's all built in to the light. It's perfect as far as that goes. Ease of functioning. Again, going back to this, some of these lights will have different lights, brightnesses that you can cycle through, high, low, strobe. I didn't think I needed that. Also, you may accidentally mash it too hard, turn it all the way on, and you don't want to be searching a room with the light fixed on. This light is momentary on only, meaning that you press the button, and while you're pressing the button, the light is on. When you let go, the light goes off. So the user interface, the functioning is very simplistic. Actually, couldn't be simpler. The right brightness. Let's talk about lumens in these lights for a minute. So you may go get a light that's 22,000 lumens. You know, everyone's more is better with flashlights. And, you know, it's kind of manly to have the super bright flashlight. But too bright can actually be, you know, you can actually have too bright of a light. If you're out searching dense foliage, great, bring that 22,000 lumen light. But for most urban environments, house clearing, home defense, you know, that type of thing, the sweet spot is around 100 lumens. Back in the olden days, they had 60 lumen incandescent lights on their rifles, and they thought they were in heaven. They thought that was great. This light is 125 lumens, which is right in that sweet spot as far as brightness goes. The problem if you get a light that's too bright, especially if you're in a house with white walls, you shine the light on those walls and it can actually create too much of a flood and throw that light back at you and actually even cause some blindness to you. So really you don't need that bright of a light for urban type stuff. 100 lumens is just fine for that. And how about the price? You know, I didn't think I was going to be using this light a ton. You know, I'm going to do some low light classes. You know, I'm not going to get a ton of use out of it. I didn't want to spend a ton of money on a light, but wanted one that was dependable, one that was going to work well. You can get into something like a Surefire Scout, and it is a tremendous light. Surefire quality is great, but what is it, $350, $400? I mean, the price is just, it's crazy. This light, $99 is the street price. Retail, I think, is $115 or so, but you can get it for around $99 if you look around. All right, some of the options when you can get these lights, this light from Inforce comes in a couple options. Comes in a black and desert sand coloring, and then there are 3 different models you can get. This model is the momentary on only, which as I mentioned is just you press the button, it goes on, you let go of the button, it's off. There's also a model that has a high and low. I think it's 125 lumens and 30 or 40 lumens, and you cycle through that by turning it on, and then within half second or so you press it again, and you're down at the lower output. Also, there is a model with an infrared, and it has a little flip switch over on the side here that you flip over, and it has an infrared light that it will turn on if you're doing some night work with IR goggles, night vision goggles. For me, I thought I don't like the idea of the high and low because I don't like to accidentally go between them. I don't want to be clearing a room at 125 lumens, accidentally click a little bit too fast, and suddenly I'm clearing the room at 40 lumens. So I thought the simplicity of the user interface with this, the Momentary on, was perfect as far as that went. That 125 lumens will go for about 2 hours. Talk about the construction of this light. It's made of a fiber composite body, essentially just a hard plastic. Seems to do well as far as scratches. I have no doubt that it's going to hold up just fine. Seems very tough. The lens up here, all they refer to it as a high impact window. They don't say if it's glass or plastic or what exactly it is, but it seems to hold up pretty well. It is waterproof down to 66 feet if you're going diving with this, if you're a SEAL, for what that's worth. Has a couple ways to lock it out so you don't accidentally turn it on. That's more of an important function in the other lights where that you can turn it on and it stays on. This is the Momentary on version. The other models, you click on and it will stay on. So to lock it out, there's this little piece that you flip up here, and that will make it so you can't get to the button. I mean, you can get under here, but essentially that will block that out. Also, you can turn the head just a little bit, just to show you. Here it is on, and I'm going to twist the head just that much. So just a small twist of the head, and that will lock it out also so you can't accidentally turn it on. Mounting of this, pretty simple. You know, one of the concerns I had with the mounting of this was that there is a screw here, and I didn't know how well this screw was going to hold up. The way you mount it is you loosen off the screw, and on the bottom of it, there is this little clip here, and that is spring-loaded. So even if this screw comes loose, the light is not going anywhere because it is locked on there. All you do is you figure out where on your rifle you want to mount it, put it on there, rock it on, tighten the screw down, and you're good there. I had some concerns that maybe this screw wasn't going to hold up, but as far as tightness-wise, but I put about 1,000 rounds through it last weekend. It didn't go anywhere. The screw didn't come loose. The light didn't become wobbly. And again, even if this screw is loose somehow, it's still rock solid on there. You're still going to be able to function it just fine. So very good as far as the mounting goes. Simplistic again. Just on and off real quick. Very easy to mount. Now let me briefly talk about how to mount it. When you're going to put a light on your rifle, you want to put it as forward as possible, because wherever you're going to put it, you're going to get shadow from the light. Meaning that if you put it back here, everything to this side of the light is going to be blocked by the shadow. There's going to be a shadow over here because the light's not going to be making it through the rail here. So you mount it as far forward as you can, and that way that minimizes the amount of shadow that the light is casting, in this case, across the barrel. You're going to get some, but it's not going to be nearly as noticeable mounting it as far forward. Also, as far as mounting it, ideally you want to mount it center line. I have it on the side here. The problem that you could run into is that if you're going through clearing a house and you're going around corners, you're looking down the center line of the barrel of the rifle through your optic, and you see that the barrel is around the corner. But what you may not realize is that you've only gone around the corner, maybe a few inches just to get that barrel around. The problem is that if you get a corner that is here, I come around the corner, I get the barrel around the corner, but I don't realize that the light is not around the corner. I shine it, I turn the light on, and first of all, I'm not at all lighting up the room because it's all shining on that wall. And then also because I'm only a few inches from this wall, I'm lighting up the wall. It's going to bounce back at me. It's going to illuminate me and also maybe even blind me because I'm shining it on this potentially white wall just a few inches from my face. So ideally you want to mount the light midline, because that way if you come around, if this is the light up here, you come around the wall and you know that if the barrel's around, the light is also around. I did try the light mounted up on the top there, and I just didn't care for how I was having to grip the rifle. I recognize that's where it should be, but I'm going to accept the idea that there's a little bit of compensation I'm going to need to make going around corners with this so that I don't have that happen. Otherwise, that's about it for this light. It is just a great light. It's so new from Inforce that it's not actually even on their website. The infrared and the high-low models are on their website, but if you want to find this model, do a Google search for Inforce Momentary, and that should bring up this light. Inforce weapons-mounted light, Momentary, Inforce WML Momentary, and that will find you on this light. It's sold on a couple different websites. Also, the nice thing about this Momentary on version is it's cheaper. The infrared model gets more expensive. This one is, I forget the relative prices of the three, but this one being the simplest of the three, $99 street price, I thought was really not a bad price for what you get. Again, everything, all those categories that I was looking for, this fills, and it was just a great light. I used this out in pitch black at the course over the weekend outside, and it did a great job. The beam profile on this, it has a pretty tight hotspot, but does still have some flood around that. So you're going to get a focused beam on whatever it is you're trying to illuminate, but also enough to light up the rest of the room. So again, it's just a great option for a weapons-mounted light for your rifle. Check it out, the Inforce Momentary on only weapons-mounted light.